Hey everyone, Internet PCS Book Reader here. Today I want to talk about Uzumaki by Junji Ito. Now, I know that the title is saying that Junji Ito work is not that well written, but put on your pitchfork first and save that for burning Tomie later. Now, speaking of Uzumaki, it is a kind of series of story following how Junji Ito can describe spiral pattern as scary. It's like the memoir in the Dream House or Han Kang's The White Book where they use a single motif for each chapter, like the Dream House or the color white. In the case of Uzumaki, that motif is the spiral pattern itself. I love Junji Ito works, but looking at it through only its plot and character is a bit difficult, especially his longer work like Uzumaki. Junji Ito's best work mostly came from his short stories because it doesn't really need that much of a plot or character writing, because usually they're just vehicle to carry the art. Okay, now back to Uzumaki, I think you'll either like or dislike it, there's no in between usually with Junji Ito. If you read Uzumaki looking for great plot writing or great character writing, you'll most likely be disappointed. You know how in horror, in order for the horror plot to go on, the character needs to be dumb as a brick, going into suspiciously dark place or weird noises that is definitely not made by human, or running away to dead end like upstairs when the exit is closer. Uzumaki's main characters are worse than that. The two main characters, Shuichi and Kirie, live in a small city called Karosujo, where strange things start happening due to spiral patterns. First, Shuichi's father started becoming obsessed with anything with spiral pattern, refusing to eat or take a bath without making spirals on them. Which to be fair is kind of funny, that's why Kirie at first just went hee that's so funny, which is understandable because it's just weird. Until Shuichi's dad started making spiral with his own body. His eyes went wild, his tongue, and eventually his entire body until he is dead. The city started getting weirder and weirder, but for some reason no one in the city escaped out of the city because it's basically a city filled with NPCs character, including our main Himbo and Bimbo, Shuichi and Kirie, which is weird since Shuichi mentioned escaping even before his father and mother died, and he even screamed at the girl to escape before the spiral took her too. So the idea of escaping does not escape these characters. And it's not like these weird events are that isolated. Some events those only witnessed by the main characters, like the girl who spiraled herself to nothingness. But every cremated person becomes this giant spiral cloud that can become the face of the disease and everyone in the city saw this. There's also this hair battle like it's JoJo Bizarre Adventure Part 4. Then there's the school incident where someone who got bullied turned into a giant snail. Then the bully also turned into a snail and they have this weird sex that later on leads to the teacher also turning into a snail. But they kept going, what's going on? Oh god, what's going on? I wonder what's going on. Then Shuichi started to become more emo instead of escaping despite him actually going to school in a different city. And as I mentioned, it is public knowledge that the spiral thing is isolated in this one city alone. This goes on until escaping the city is no longer an option. Most of these incidents don't seem to cause any concern to the downfall. It really felt like an episodic series where most episodes just don't have that much of an impact in the grand scheme of the series. While plot-wise, sure the townsfolk might not know some of the issue in the city, but a lot of the story does have a lot of plot holes. Because at least our two main dumbasses are witness to a lot of the really weird unexplainable events in the story. Most of the time, Uzumaki is basically just B-grade horror flick, plot and character-wise. I think one of the main reasons why Junji Ito's work was not well translated into anime is not just because so far, all of the attempts at animating it is just straight up trash, but also the scare of his work is not conveyed through its plot and characters, but through the detail of his art which has been known to be lost once animated. I'm sure you've seen the art of the Uzumaki face where part of a girl's face becomes a spiral. Then there's the state of Shuichi's father's body which becomes this twisted monstrosity, his face in the sky as the ash of his cremation goes into the sky, and there's so much of this art that goes perfectly with the manga panel. As we flip the panel, the atmosphere of the city and the eeriness that you feel if you played Silent Hill just permeates through the page. There's whirlpool in waters, the light look twisted and unnatural, the people look sick and helpless, everything just feels abnormal and uncomfortable. Then bam! The face of the neighbor have drills on them, or a house full of people seems to merge together into one. There's a kind of manic cosmic horror that the series delivers to perfection through the art. and you can't give anything lower than 100% to be able to convey it through any other medium beside the manga. The good news is that from what we've seen so far from the Adult Swim adaptation of Uzumaki, it looks good enough to actually hurt if it didn't deliver. I really hope it turns out great. Now, as biased as I am to Junji Ito works, I can give Uzumaki a perfect 5. I give this one a 4.25. But remember that I'm very biased, and you might not like Uzumaki if you're trying to follow its plot and characters. What do you think? Will you give it a try? Leave your talk in the comment and subscribe to the channel. That's about it.